He thought it was just another walk to school. Same route, same faces, same small town. But that morning, the stares felt sharper, the whispers colder. By the time he reached the gates, the laughter wasn't friendly anymore. One cruel act would turn an ordinary day into a nightmare that would scar him forever. What began as a harmless joke quickly revealed something far darker, something this community never wanted to face. How far will people go to deny the truth when prejudice hides behind a smile? Malik was the kind of kid everyone knew, quiet, polite, always early to class. He loved drawing comic heroes in his sketchbook and dreamed of designing his own someday. Every morning, he walked the same cracked sidewalk to school, backpack bouncing against his shoulders, earbuds drowning out the world. For him, routine meant safety, a rhythm he could trust. But lately, that rhythm had started to change. Whispers followed him down the hallway. Lockers slammed a little louder when he passed. A few kids snickered, their jokes wrapped in smiles sharp enough to cut. He tried to ignore it, to believe it was nothing. After all, he'd done nothing wrong. That morning, the air felt heavier than usual. The same faces at the bus stop avoided his eyes. Even the driver hesitated before nodding him aboard. Malik told himself it was just his imagination, but deep down, something felt off. He didn't know it yet, but before the final bell rang, his world would split open, and every mask of kindness around him would fall. The day started like any other, a blur of chatter, lockers, and the faint smell of cafeteria pizza. Malik kept his head down, sketchbook tucked beneath his arm. But he could feel it, that shift in the air again. Whispers, soft but sharp. Laughter that stopped when he turned around. The kind that wasn't about a joke, it was about him. By lunchtime, the unease had a name. A group of boys from the senior class, the ones everyone tried not to cross, had decided Malik was too confident for his kind. It started small. A shove in the hallway. A paper ball that hit the back of his head. "Relax," they said. "Just playing." But there was a tone in their voices, one that made his stomach knot. When he sat alone at lunch, their table erupted in laughter. Someone threw a crumpled napkin at his tray. Another mimicked his voice, stretching every word until it turned into a cruel caricature. The cafeteria seemed to shrink around him, every eye pretending not to see. He wanted to speak, but silence felt safer than attention. After school, it escalated. Malik walked faster than usual, clutching his bag tight. He could hear their sneakers behind him, rhythmic, taunting. "Hey, hero," one of them yelled. "Heard you think you're better than us." He didn't turn around. He just kept walking. Then came the sound, a thud, wet and sudden. Something splattered across his jacket. He froze. Laughter exploded behind him. An egg slid down his sleeve, dripping onto the pavement. The smell hit him first, sour, humiliating. His chest burned with a mix of shame and anger. He turned, eyes wide, heart pounding. The boys were filming, phones raised, shouting slurs that echoed off the empty houses. "Smile for the camera," one sneered. The word they used, the one they laughed over, wasn't new. But this time, it hit different. It stuck. Malik ran. He didn't care where, just away. Away from their voices, their laughter, their camera lens. Every step felt heavier than the last. By the time he reached home, his hands were trembling. He stood at the door, afraid to go inside, afraid for his mother to see what they'd done. He thought about reporting it, but he'd seen how that went before. The last kid who spoke up got labeled angry. Another got suspended for starting it. The system wasn't built for kids like him. It was built to protect the ones who threw the eggs. That night, Malik sat by the window, staring at his ruined jacket. The yolk had dried to a crust, but the stain wouldn't fade. He could still hear their laughter, looping in his head. He told himself tomorrow would be better, but deep down, he knew. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The next morning, Malik didn't want to go back. His mother noticed the silence over breakfast, the way he avoided her eyes. She asked if something had happened, but he just shook his head. What could he even say? That being himself had become dangerous? That the people who laughed with him last week now treated him like a target? Still, he went. Because that's what you do. You keep going, even when your heart is heavy. But as soon as he stepped through the school gates, he knew something was wrong. The laughter hit him first, cruel and loud. Then he saw it. His face. On every phone screen. The video. Him standing there, egg dripping from his jacket, the crowd jeering. Someone had uploaded it overnight with a caption that turned his pain into a joke. A meme. Thousands of views already. His hands trembled as the voices closed in. "Yo, you famous now," someone shouted. Another kid mimed throwing an egg, the whole hallway erupting in laughter. Malik couldn't breathe. It felt like the walls were closing in, every whisper slicing deeper. He stumbled into the bathroom, gripping the sink, staring at his reflection, his own face, but distorted by tears and shame. Then the door burst open. The same boys walked in, grinning. The leader leaned in, close enough for Malik to smell the cologne. "What's wrong, hero? Gonna cry again?" He shoved Malik hard against the tiles. "You people always act like victims." Something in Malik broke. The fear, the silence, all of it snapped. His fist clenched, not in anger, but in self-defense. "Stop," he said, voice shaking but steady. The boy laughed. "Or what?" And then, crack. The teacher's shout echoed from the hallway. Phones went up again. Malik stood there, chest heaving, surrounded by eyes that finally saw him, but not the way he wanted. In that instant, he realized the truth. In their world, his pain was entertainment, and his resistance was rebellion. But this time, he wasn't backing down. The video spread faster than anyone expected. By the end of the day, Malik's name wasn't just whispered in the halls, it was trending online. Some laughed, some defended the joke, but a few voices, quiet, brave ones, finally spoke up. Teachers, students, even strangers. They saw what really happened, not just the punch or the video, but the pattern, the cruelty that had been invisible for too long. Malik was suspended for fighting, while the others got a warning. That was the part that hurt the most. Not the bruises, not the humiliation, but the reminder that in this system, truth often bends toward those with power. Still, something had changed. People were talking. For the first time, silence wasn't winning. At home, Malik sat with his mother at the kitchen table. She held his hand, eyes full of the pain only a parent could know. "You did what you had to," she whispered. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe that one day, standing up wouldn't come with punishment attached. Weeks later, the school tried to move on. But Malik didn't forget, and neither did those who finally saw what he endured. His story became a mirror, forcing others to confront what they'd ignored. Because racism doesn't always shout. It whispers, it laughs, it hides behind jokes. Until someone says, enough. Malik's courage didn't erase the pain, but it started a conversation that couldn't be undone. And maybe that's where change begins, not in grand gestures, but in moments of truth that refuse to stay silent. Because if one boy's humiliation can go viral, then so can his strength. So the question is, when the next Malik stands alone, will we look away again?